Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and foreman, Douglas Scoundrels. Today we are assembling the Behind the Trigger box, the title box for the Guild and Bayou factions containing 3 models: Perdita, Ortega, Neverborn Hunter, Sly Six-Shots, and Ophelia, LaCroix Overloaded. That is our artwork. Renders on the back. Perdita standing on a skull, looking very stoic. Sly Six-Shot with what looks to be a difficult build with whatever that thing is that's on his base. And then Ophelia with a pig. It's a cute pig, though. Let's look at our sprues. Let's look at our sprue. 1 sprue. Alright. I'm happy. Here is Perdita with 9 bits. Okay. Ophelia with slightly fewer, and then Sly with probably the most bits, quite likely. Although nothing on here looks too terribly difficult. The 2 I'm only worried about are these 2 just because they're spindly. But we'll just do them in box render order. So we will start with Perdita first. Let's look at our instructions. Alright, here we got Perdita, and we will start with the body like we almost always do, B1. Then we will do the left leg, which is B4. Yeah, no, B5, I guess. After that, we can probably attach the skull. Does the skull have a connection point? It does. So yes, we'll go ahead and attach the skull to the bottom of her left foot. And we'll do the back of her coat, followed by the various layers of hair. This girl has way too much damn hair. I think we start with B3. And then B6, followed by B4. Possibly those 2 might be switched. And then we can go ahead and do her right arm, B8, and then her hat, B2, and be all done. Let's grab B1. Alright, here is B1. Now add B5, the left leg, right here. Alright, there we go. Next, we're going to do B9, which is going to attach to the bottom of her heel, and the skull is going to be looking towards us. Alright, there we go. That is a very slippery connection point. Basically, as long as the heel is on there, it looks okay, and that both the bottom of her right foot and the skull are on the ground at the same time. Call it good. Don't think anyone's really going to care too much. Alright, let's go ahead and do the back of her coat, which is going to be B7. And that is going to fit basically all the way around her waist. There is the coat. Takes a kind of a weird angle to get in there, but seam will be nice and flush so you know it's done correctly. Alright, let's go ahead and do her right arm. Connect there and go across her waist there. That is going to be B8. Right arm's in. Alright, let's get started on her hair. The first big piece is going to be B3. You can see the connection point right there. Okay. Seam looks good. Next up will be B6, which will be these 2 connection points here. And they correspond to up here and down here. Okay. And we're not even done with her hair. Let's do our last bit. I think that's B4. Just going to connect in these 2 spots. Okay, that's a scarf. Not hair. You could paint it like hair, I guess. A hair scarf if you want, but that's creepy. Alright, last up is going to be her hat, which will fit on top of her head. Alright, there we go. We know this is properly positioned because there's this tooth here, and it doesn't exist on the back, so the middle tooth is towards the front of her head. Alright, she's done. Put her on a base. Perdita, Ortega, Neverborn Hunter is done. Fairly easy model overall, and very pretty. The only pain point I would say would be the skull under her foot. It's a weird connection point, but also it doesn't matter a whole ton if it's slightly off. No one's going to care. You can even replace it with a tactical rock if you wanted. that's it for my complaining, really. We can move on to Sly. All right, here is Sly Six-Shots. Six-Shots. And, well, here's actual Sly, and here's his magical card of wonders, or whatever. So we got two different builds. He's not attached to the card at all, so we'll go and do the card first because it's the harder one. And then we'll do Sly himself, and we'll attach them both to the 50mm base. Our cart is going to start with the bottom here. We'll go ahead and do the sides, and then the two legs and the wheel, followed by the two parts of the back cabinet. Attach that to the top here. The gun barrels on top of that. Then the seat, I think that's a seat. And lastly, this handlebar thing. And that should all be done. Then we can grab Sly at his two legs, part of his coat, his arms, and his head. Let's go ahead and look at the instructions and then grab D11, followed by D10 and D2. Okay, I got this order wrong. I already realized that. I apologize. We'll actually go and do the cabinet first, and then build the body around it, followed by the legs, and then the seat and handle, whatever. So actually, let's start with D5, glue D1 to it, as well as D6. And here's D5. Does have this nub here that I went ahead and shaved down. I'm not sure if it will actually obstruct D1's addition here, but I did it anyways just to be safe. So now let's go ahead and add D1 right here. All right, these are the two combined. Seam looks good. Next up is going to be D6. You can see this sort of trapezoid connection point down here. That's going to slip in there. All right, there's our gun barrels. Cabinet's more or less done. Next, we're actually going to add the sides of the card. Before we do the bottom, I think it'll be a little bit easier for us. So this is going to be, I think, D10. This is the side with the open sign, and the sign will be sitting on the outside of the box. There we go. All right, let's do our other side. Right there. All right, that's D2. Forgot the lettering. But we've got both of our sides, so now we can actually do the bottom of our cart. All right, we have a completed cart box. Now let's work on the legs. First is going to be the front leg, which is the one with the wheel. And for all of these legs, the sort of knee bend in it will be going backwards, so the wheel will be going like that. All right, here's our wheelie leg thing. Our other two legs are going to be back on these, let me grab my pointing device, little round things. You can see a connection point right here, as well as a connection point right there. And as far as which side is which, they're almost indistinguishable in the different sides. However, you do see these little holes right here on this one, which would be on the other side of the other bit. Stop hitting the phone, Doug. This is actually on the inside of the leg. So this leg, D4, is going to be our left leg if you consider the wheelie leg, the front of the cart. So this will be the left leg and this will be the right leg. Let's do D4 first. All right, there's the leg attached. It's a little wonky, but we will straighten it when we put the other one on, then we can set it on a flat surface. So let's go ahead and put the other leg on. Alright, there's both of our legs. Now just set it on a surface and maybe do some alignment, but it's really spindly and honestly kind of sucks, so just get it to a point where you like it. Don't need to be too perfect. And we can move on. Last two bits are seat, which is D9, and the handle, I guess, maybe, D7. So let's do D9 first. It's going to fit right along this connection point, and then our handles, two tiny connection points are right there and right there. I was trying for way too long before I realized I was putting it in upside down. Whoops. I'm not sure if that's a seat anymore, but it's something. Now let's go ahead and do the handle. Okay, I should have added this one first, and I managed to mess up the leg. Great. Well, I'll fix the leg, but yeah, do the handle first before the seat pad, whatever this thing is. But it's all done now, so now we can work on Sly himself after I'm done fixing the leg. I recommend adding it to the base as soon as you can, just to protect those legs from getting knocked out of place. Sly himself, reminder, is noticeably easier. I've got him upside down. Whoops. I'll grab the body, D11, the left leg E1, the right leg E2, the rest of the coat E4, then the left arm E5, the right arm E6, and then the head E7. We'll see if that order ends up being correct or not. Here is E1, our body. Turns out E2 is actually going to be the right leg. You can see how it fits in there nicely, so let's add that. Alright. Now let's add E3, the left leg, which has these two connection points to attach it to the body. Alright, there we go. Don't worry too much about how it aligns on this side, because that's going to be where the coat attaches. Just check the crotch, I guess, and make sure it looks like normal pants. So now let's do the side of the coat, E4. Alright. Seam looks pretty good. I can squish that a little bit better off camera. But once I do that, we can do E5, which is the left arm, which will attach up to the shoulder and go across to be holding on to the edge of the coat. Alright, there's the arm. Now let's go ahead, fix the seam ever so slightly. Let's do E6, our right arm, which will come across here and attach to these two spots, I think. Alright, there's the right arm, and both shoulders are looking pretty good, so now we can finish with the head, E7 going right there. That is the neck of a trustworthy man, I think. Alright, Sly's all done. Let's also add him to the base and call him good. Sly Six-Shots is done. And what a pain the damn cabinet was. All of that being in the legs and the handle, and even the seat was slightly awkward. Admittedly, I should have put it in correctly the first time. But yeah, the legs have terrible connection points. I don't like that at all. But I would say specifically for this, go ahead and super glue those. It should be a slightly more solid connection, and no one's going to really care about the spindly legs and possibly a glob of glue on the underside of the mini. I would, recommend using super glue for that, just so that they don't wiggle around once you got them solidified. Alright, he's done. Let's move on. Alright, Ophelia, LaCroix, overloaded. Going to be our easiest model, I think. We'll go ahead and grab the torso, A5, and add pretty much the rest of the body, A1. Then we can enclose it with A6, then do the pig, A3, the arm, A7, the gun on the back, A2, and finish off with combining both halves of her head, A8 and A4, and then attaching it to her body. Alright, so let's look at the instructions and then start with A5 and A1. Here's A5, now add A1 right here. Okay, we've got more or less the entire body. So now let's grab A5, the rest of the poncho, which will connect here and go across the rest of the body. Oop. There we go. Here's our seam. Okay, next let's go and do the piglet, which is going to connect on this vertical connection point. Oh, that would be A3. This is the backside and our connection point. Alright, we've got the piglet and part of her arm. We'll go ahead and do the rest of her arm, which will connect here, as well as the elbow. That bit being this one, A7. Alright, we've got a hand and the rest of the piglet combined, and that all looks quite good. So, last two steps, we'll combine the two halves of the head, A4 and A8. Actually, nope, forgot the rifle. So we'll do A2 first, which goes on her back with the butt pointing up. And then we'll combine the two halves of the head and plop that on her neck hole. So A2, gonna go right there. Looks like the entirety of the gun barrel will also be gluing to her back. Alright, let's do the two halves of her head. Hair, And face. I did not realize it was blowing in the wind. There we go. Head. Now let's see if I can jam that in this hole or if I got the order wrong. Yeah, I went in just fine. Alright, she's done. Base. Ophelia LaCroix Overloaded is done. A relatively simple model, so the best I can say as far as difficulty would be the tiny bits of the arm that are the pig and the hand/pig legs. Other than that, quite a simple build, just weird looking bits that, if you didn't have the instructions, would be kind of awkward to fit together. But you got the instructions, you also got me, so pretty easy overall. Let's look at the whole box. The behind the trigger box is completed, consisting of Perdita, Ortega, Nephilim, Neverborn Hunter, Sly Six-Shots, and Ophelia LaCroix Overloaded. The majority of the difficulty is Sly's damn cabinet, but that probably wasn't that big of a surprise for you. The other two models, quite easy. Outside of, I think, really just the skull under Perdita's foot was pointlessly weird. But really, that's it. So 2 easy models and 1 difficult one that no one's going to care if you mix up, slip up a few things. I definitely don't care, but that's it from me. I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Have a good night. Probably don't buy anything from that guy and his trustworthy neck.